Welcome everyone, Scarves and Spikes. Sydney and Tyler with you. Tommy is off for this particular episode, but we are here with you though. Tyler, how's it going?
It's a winning Wednesday.
Winning Wednesday.
It counts because they won yesterday. Screw the last weekend. We don't care about that. We're moving past it. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. It's Wednesday.
Yes. Atlanta United beating Charlotte Independence in the round of 32 of the U.S. Open Cup, 3-0 at Fifth Third Stadium in Kennesaw. So kind of recap that. Also, right now, if you're listening the next day or so, we'll be kind of not recapping, but kind of give you updates on the other match of interest for Atlanta United, Charleston Battery versus South Georgia Tormenta. That's going on at Patriots Point in Mount Pleasant as we speak. So if you hear something, if you're listening after the fact, if you hear kind of references to that is why. But yeah, the winner for that takes on Atlanta United, host Atlanta United, I should say. So, I mean, they're either going to Patriots Point or they're going to Statesboro, Tyler. So
and if you guys aren't aware, Jackson Popkin is in control of our social media right now. And I don't think I can put into words how much this man has been dreaming of an Atlanta United versus South Georgia Tormenta match. And this is close. So
he will self-combust if those two teams play each other.
If Tormenta pulls this out against the Battery, then we might not hear from Jackson for a while because he's going to be screaming and cheering and running around in such a happy place. So, we'll give you some updates. The twos are also going to be playing starting at 7:30 against Carolina Core, which is another really good opportunity for them to get, if you're concerned about the standings, to move up in the standings because they beat Carolina. They dominated Carolina once already.
Yeah.
And Carolina has not been a good team, brand new team, but they've not been a good team.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be playing here in about a half hour.
Yeah, so a lot going on, a lot of soccer going on as we're live doing this show right now. But want to remind you, of course, scarvesandspikes.com, Scarves and Spikes on Twitter or X, Scarves, the letter N, Spikes, Instagram, Scarves and Spikes. If you go to scarvesandspikes.com, there's a link to our store. You can get yourself a mug, yourself a drinking glasses, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, the whole 9 yards. Of course, patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. We appreciate everyone that supports us on Patreon. We say it every week, but we want to make sure that you all get your flowers. Whoever supports us on Patreon, at patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. $1.17 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. The only place you'll be able to hear our DC United preview with the folks at RFK Refugees. So that'll be only available to our Patreon members, Patreon backers. So if you aren't already, go to the website right now, patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. And I think that's taking care of the business that we have to do at the beginning of the show.
Jason, what's up? Ariel, what's up? Matt,
Ariel,
what's up? Tommy's a few beers deep in a hockey game.
Tommy is at a hockey game. I said it's the Cleveland Munsters up there in the American Hockey League. I'll have to kind of fact check myself, but that's where he is. Cleveland Munsters are in the playoffs. But Tyler, we are here, and let's talk about real quick. Last night, Tuesday night, against an opponent that really letting that it shouldn't be going away in the first place. There's a little bit of a nervous energy, I feel like, at least in the beginning. And Pineda mentioned it after the match. These are guys that many of them haven't played together before. Certainly the younger players have played with Atlanta United too in the academy, but the collective, for the most part, had not played together before Tuesday's match. And Pineda mentioned, there's that lack of cohesion against the Charlotte Independence team that had nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose. If you fall to Atlanta United, you fall with your head held high. If you beat Atlanta United, it's a cup set for the ages, really.
Oh,
so, they had nothing to lose. I feel like they tried to control the match the way they felt they needed to do, and in the second half, things just kind of flipped in Atlanta United's favor. Nick Firmino with a brace, second goal, really well taken effort, and a really good pass from Caleb Wiley, and then Danielle Rios with the finishing touches. So 3-0, and Atlanta United will take on either South Georgia Tomento or Charleston Battery in the second round, or not the second round, the round of 16. I guess let's start with who stood out to you. Who stood out to you on the field for Atlanta United among the players that were out there?
Well, going back to the starting 11, and I'll leave out Steon Gregerson because, unfortunate circumstance. But then you have Noah Cobb and Efrain Morales as the center back pairing. And Zilf, like what Zilf is saying, I felt like a proud dad seeing players I've watched in U15, 16, 17 playing for the first team. Noah Cobb and Efrain Morales, man, that is fun to watch with how young they
Yeah,
are and how dominant they are.
yeah,
And I know that, I think people are maybe gonna sometimes want to put like an asterisk on this one because you're like, well, it's a third division side that you should beat. And that's true. But it doesn't take away from the fact that you had some really good performances.
yeah,
And I thought Ashton Gordon, the fact that he got the start, man, like that is
yeah.
amazing. The kid just turned 17 years old. Like,
It's insane.
and we've been watching him, I think some people maybe got their first eyes on him in the preseason out in Birmingham. But he's been a killer, man. And last night, like he's unpolished. He needs some refinement, but the talent's there. He had the first really, really good opportunity of the game in about the 35th minute or whatever it
Yeah,
was. And he just happened to put it right into the keeper's breadbasket. So like it is what it is. But I thought him and Luke Brennan on each wing, they were putting forth the effort. Again, there
yeah,
was some refinement that needed to be done. I
yeah,
think there was some maybe just a step off on some things, but it was there. It was good. Yeah, and I enjoyed watching both of them. Um, and I thought Dax McCarty
oh my word. It's
was
terrific.
outstanding. Yeah, I mean, just his calmness and his presence. That's what you wanted to see out of him. And again, I don't care about the asterisk that people are going to put next to the fact that this was a third division side. I don't care. Like Dax McCarty handled himself pretty well. Now he made a couple of mistakes too that were a little sketchy. He had the
Yeah,
yellow card, but his ability to slow the game down, calm things down, and picked out some really, really good long balls. I thought it was a really fun time watching him. Last quick one, Josh Cohen, hearing him, how vocal he was on the pitch, and how he was
yeah,
commanding back there and orchestrating things. That was really, really neat. That was really, really good to see.
yeah, yeah. And kind of going back to Dax, he kind of had a heart and throat moment on a yellow card. He had a pretty not a reckless tackle, not a cynical challenge, but he made a slide on a Charlotte player on the far touchline, and kind of wondered, hey, Dax, you gotta be careful. You're on a yell. You don't want to be sent off, from the U.S. Open Cup. But no, I agree. Dax is a veteran. Dax has, this is not his first U.S. Open Cup. He's played in so many of these competitions throughout his career, and like you said, Tyler, he brought a sense of calm, a sense of um, composure to this team, a team that didn't have a lot of veterans on it. Gregerson was the veteran, one of the veterans, but of course had to come off. Ronnie Hernandez, another veteran player. Cohen, of course, with his UEFA Champions League experience. And then Dax was out there as well, as that connective tissue between young and old. And Nick Firmino mentioned just that spine of the team with him, Dax. Yeah, with him and Dax, and just how Dax affected the match during his time on the field. But I thought, aside from Nick Firmino, I thought Dax McCarty was Atlanta United's best player by far, and a really excellent effort from a player that hasn't had too much time with Atlanta United playing as of yet. And I hope to see more of him, of course, as the season progresses. But again, he's a veteran. this is not his first time playing in the US Open Cup. He's played against so many other teams, upper division, lower division, in between. So I thought it was a great idea to start him in this particular match. Now, talking about Gregerson, I see some people social media saying, "Oh, he should have started." I don't mind him starting. I really don't
Me
mind him
neither.
starting, just to get him some time. I think I want. I feel like the plan was to play him maybe about 60 minutes and then bring in somebody else to see out the rest of the match, depending on how things were going. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Pineda saying afterwards that, you know, he took a pretty hard knock. And I felt like it's more precaution more than anything. He looked okay coming off the pitch and sitting on the bench. Um, so you hope that nothing further comes out of that. We'll have to see what Pineda says on Thursday during training, but you hope that he's okay. You just hope that Stian isn't one of those players that comes in and just get injured every time you turn around. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the only scary part from this match. But I think, again, everything else is good. The first half, you might expect, was a little shaky with the new players. I mean, the younger players, I should say, getting used to each other. But, things turned around. And good on Nick Firmino scoring that brace in the second half, especially that second goal. And then Rios essentially putting it out of reach. It was already out of reach, but
Yeah.
yeah, good on them and good on Nick especially to score
Yeah.
that brace.
I wanna hit on a couple things too. I mean, and like what Zilf said here, he needed some rehab minutes. Absolutely. Like he needed to play. Um, and then again, yeah, it's not like he hurt his knee. That was the
Yeah,
concern when he
yeah,
went
that's
down. I was like,
that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what
whoa.
we all thought up there in the press box. And I'm
And it
sure
didn't
fans
help that
did
the
too.
pitch up at Fifth Third Bank Stadium was like made out of ice
Yeah,
last night. Like everybody was falling over. It was crazy. But um, I do wanna hit on something Zilf said here about Luke Brennan. And so he said, Brennan surprised me. I think he deserves some minutes at home. His directness would destroy teams at home. And I do agree with that. One thing that I really, 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 really want to see Luke Brennan work on is his confidence with his left foot.
hmm.
He he does so well to just progress the ball down the right side in various ways. But then when it comes time to send that cross in, there's a little bit of I'm not going to call it hesitation, but he and Doug kind of mentioned this last night as well. He doesn't cut back to his left foot very often, and it
Yeah,
seems like he's kind of one dimensional in that sense. And I think
yeah,
he's talented enough that he can work on it and fix it. I think it's just one of those things that maybe needs to be identified a little bit more and progressed on. But sometimes you get a direct winger like that. Mosquera is a similar. I mean, they're different. They have different traits, but it's similar mindset in terms of just being very vertical and not being afraid to take on guys. That's sometimes you need that,
yeah,
man. Like sometimes you just need somebody that's just going to make the run
yeah,
and not be selfish. Brooks Lennon is similar, but Brooks Lennon is a fullback. So, but I liked what I saw about out of Luke.
yeah. Me too.
Could have been cleaner for sure,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I mean, he put in a shift. He really
Uh-huh.
did.
He's young.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah, he has plenty of growing to do. I mean, not just physically, but as a player. But you can really see the qualities that he has and the qualities that he can bring to the table. Like you said, Tyler, he's not afraid to go at players. He had some really skillful moves on Tuesday night that I was really impressed with. And while that quality is good to have, you don't want to rely on it too much, I guess. But at the same time, again, you see the qualities that he can bring to the table. You see the kind of player that Luke Brennan can be on that right side for Atlanta United. So I don't. I assume he can play the other wing as well if needed. Is that correct? I haven't seen too much of him
Yeah,
with Atlanta United. But yeah, I mean, the ability to play on the other wing, maybe that's something that Panetta thinks about with Wolf being unavailable for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So maybe we see Brennan out there a little bit more with the first team, getting maybe 15, 30 minutes here and there, depending on game state, just to get him run out and get him more time and more confidence. He'll certainly be playing with the second team with Atlanta United too as time goes on. But he's this is why Atlanta United it looks like they're just so high on him, so high what he can do. And this is why he's a homegrown player. You hope that he can, you know, you hope that he can become the player that Elena hopes he can be. And again, you saw a lot of that on Tuesday. You saw a lot of his qualities, and as he gets more experience, as he becomes sharper, as he gains more confidence, as he gets more playing time, he'll become that much of a better player. So that's something that I'll be looking for specifically involving Luke Brennan.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, again, and I mentioned it in the article on Scarves and Spikes. I mean, especially the first half, I think everybody looked a little unrefined, but I think the right wing had the most
Yeah.
luck. I don't want to say luck. That's a bad way of putting it.
No, I know
They
what you mean.
they were creating chances. They were creating opportunities. Now, maybe they weren't the best chances, but you had a couple of good ones. And and yeah, Zilf saying Matt Edwards was pretty good as well. I agree. I think he grew into the game, maybe a
Yeah,
little
he did.
slower than everybody else, but I think he definitely
Yeah.
grew into it. Had I think the first assist, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yes.
overall, yeah, I mean, it was a solid night for pretty much everybody. I can't think of anybody that just had a bad game. Now I can you can name players that maybe um played to the level that they should be playing at. 17-year-olds, right? Like you're going out playing against a bunch of grown men. I don't care if they're Division 3 or not. Like, but you
Yeah.
but you handled yourself. You had 9
Mhm.
academy well, at some point there were academy players on the pitch last night, and
Yeah.
that's a testament to the academy.
Yeah, and again, Pineda said it, it doesn't matter what level this team is. You know, the message was, I don't care that this is a third division side. This is a talented team. It has players of skill, players of talent, and if we aren't careful, we can find ourselves out. And I'm pretty sure that was a conversation in the on the training ground, in the dressing room before the match, and again, with a lot of these players haven't played together outside of the academy or collectively together, there's always going to be that rustiness, and I feel like that, along with the fact that they hadn't won the past 5 matches, kind of you know played into that a lot. But they eventually handled themselves. They grew into the match, like you're kind of saying, with different players, and eventually got the win. So I think this is a very confident performance, a very good performance that you can take with you to DC. And we'll talk about DC a little bit later on. But, sometimes it's just, and I asked Pineda about it, is it just a matter of, hey, you just need that one win to get things back on the right track? So hopefully that's what we see with Atlanta United. They've been in a tough moment over these past 5 matches before beating Charlotte, and now that you have that win, maybe the weight gets kind of taken off your shoulders. Maybe you're not pressing as much. Maybe you aren't as desperate. Now that being said, MLS is a totally different animal, but maybe you're a little less tense going into this match with DC United versus what would have happened if you had somehow lost this match. So good to see them take care of business again against an opponent that they shouldn't have had any trouble with at all. I think the scoreline maybe flattered Charlotte maybe just a little bit. But at the same time, Atlanta United took care of business, and yeah, a relatively not 100% a good tape to tape performance, a performance that they needed, and yeah,
Yeah, and
got
I
the
I,
win.
I think one thing that you don't want to do though in this match, and I am going to preface this by saying I'm not meaning this in a negative way
Yeah.
at all. But I do think the result of this match, if you're not careful, you can gloss over some mistakes that were made.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
I still think you have to look at this as a learning opportunity. I mean, you gave up a really good chance to Charlotte off of a corner kick, off of your corner kick, not
Yeah,
their corner kick.
yeah,
You've got to get that crap out of your head because again, an MLS opponent would punish you. Now I get it too. Like part of that was the turf, people slipping left and right, so that was part of what caused that. but it can't happen, right? Um, the the penalty that it was a penalty. It was a penalty, guys. Like I'm
Stonewall,
telling you right now,
Stonewall.
Atlanta got away with one.
It's a good thing VAR is not in effect
Yeah,
in the early stages. I'll just
yeah.
say
And
that.
I actually thought the ref initially, I thought he waved to the
I
spot,
kind of
and I
did
realized,
too.
but I mean, it was in the box, guys. Like,
It
but
was.
hey, it all evens out in the end. Inevitably, at some point, the soccer gods shone on Atlanta last night, where maybe they haven't in a couple of games this season. But Pineda said something last night, I think that really stood out, and it was something that I really wanted to hear. Um, he mentioned that a game like this, and I don't remember what team he used as an example, but a game like this can be all it takes to flip things on its head.
Yeah.
He mentioned again a team that was having a rough season, went out, won, a match in the Open Cup, went on to do well in the Open Cup, and then turned their MLS season essentially around in a really good way. Sometimes it just takes learning how to win again and remembering what
Yeah.
it feels like to win a game. Like it doesn't matter who you played against,
Yeah.
but winning is winning in soccer, period. And you just need to go, if you're Atlanta United, you need to go and look at the mistakes that you did make because you made mistakes. It wasn't a perfect game,
All
but
right.
you had moments where you looked really, really good. You really started to turn like things on against Charlotte after that first Nick Firmino goal. And there was a little bit of a lull after that for a minute. And then you brought on some of the veteran guys and they got minutes. And then things just went completely in Atlanta's favor. So, I mean, I think overall, you need to look at this game and just, hey, celebrate the win, but still learn from the mistakes. Learn from the things that did go wrong that thankfully you didn't really get punished on.
So we talked about the center back pairing, and that brought to mind a memory that I had, when Pineda was talking about um, Noah Cobb. And Cobb, I thought he did terrific coming in as Edgar is making fun of Tommy's um, beard and like they're saying, "Where's Rufus the naked mole rat?" You should
I
have been
didn't
on
think we would
time,
get to the point.
Edgar.
If I'm not mistaken, that's a Kim Possible reference.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's where we're at on Scarves and
Yes.
Spikes, ladies and gentlemen.
But no. You were talking about the center back pairings, and I'll just mention this real quick. Cobb, I thought was terrific
Oh yeah,
coming in the situation where I think otherwise he probably would have gotten the night off or much of it off anyway. And Pineda talked about how Cobb came in against Pachuca in the American Family Insurance Cup a couple of years back and was tasked with defending one of their top players. I forget what his name is.
ah,
Um, I'm looking it up right
the
now.
battery just scored.
Battery just scored. So 1-0 Charleston in the
Yep.
21st minute. But Pineda was talking about, one of the players from Pachuca in the American Family Insurance Cup and how Cobb was tasked with defending him. And now, fast forward to 2024 and just what he's done, what he's been able to do, and how he's been able to grow even more with Atlanta United. And yeah, we talk a lot about Noah, talk about what he's done, how he's grown with Atlanta United at the time that he's been given with the Stian Gregerson injury. I thought he and Ephraim Morales were great. And I think Atlanta don't have any issues, I don't think, as far as the center back position is concerned. I mean, they're still young players, but at the same time, I don't think that you should be too concerned about what Noah Cobb and Ephraim Morales can do with Atlanta United. So just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
Yeah, I thought both of them did a really, really good job. I mean, they didn't really put a foot
Yeah.
wrong, I
Yeah.
don't think. I mean, Noah made a couple of exceptional recovery
Mm-hmm.
runs. Ephraim won he won a header, an aerial duel between two Charlotte players in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was they were fun to watch, and it's a fun pairing because they've grown up together, right?
Yeah.
So again, the future is bright. Like Atlanta's done a great job developing center backs. If we're
We have.
taking a look at the track record, and
Yeah.
I think this is one of those testaments to what they can do. And Noah has looked phenomenal in MLS play. Efrain looked phenomenal in the clean sheet against Chicago. So like, it's not like this is a small sample size or a sample size like, again with the asterisk where it's against a lower division opponent. Like they've been out there doing the job against the best talent in the United States. Sorry, Charlotte. Like you're not the best talent, but you're an MLS team. I mean, I'm sorry, Chicago.
League One, yeah. Oh, yeah, Chicago,
Um,
yeah.
but no, I mean, I think it was also just kind of neat, just for like the factor and just simply that like they've been playing together in the twos, the academy, everything else. It was just neat to watch.
Yeah, it is. And it really is neat. These players that we've kind of got used to seeing, grew through the academy and through Lady United to being, just so successful with the first team. And Jack saying in the chat, "Oh, Cop got a 5+ rating upgrade on FIFA this season." So yeah, even EA Sports is taking notice of what No Cop has done. So yeah, hats off to him, and hats off to really Atlanta United as a whole on getting this win over the Charlotte Independence of USL League One.
Um, so one other thing I kind of wanted to touch on was Daniel Rios.
Yeah,
He, there were a couple people. I'm not going to name names. There were a
do
couple
it.
people though that were like,
Just kidding.
no, like they were like Rios had a rough game, and I totally disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. Daniel Rios has been
It's a terrific.
really good,
Yeah,
not just in this game. He got the goal last night, but Pineda mentioned specifically last night the amount of dirty work that that Rios has done in this match specifically, but also in general. Um, he's got the numbers. Like he's had the assist, he's had the goal. He got the goal in the Open Cup. But if you watch him play, he recognizes things in this team and he adapts to them. He talked last night about knowing that they have such a mixture of a lineup that was thrown out, right? You have a lot of players that have never played together. I mean, of course, they train together, but they haven't really played together. And he knew that he was going to have to drop back and help out, in the middle with Nick Firmino trying to progress the ball, or out to the wings with Ashton and Luke. And he was where he needed to be as a striker all the time. And I think that's just, it's such an underrated thing that doesn't get enough credit, I believe. And Tiare has been the same way. Like, this is not
mm,
to take away from him. It's just that he's kind of out of sight, out of mind right now, but he was doing the same thing as well and getting numbers as well. So, and Emilio mentioned a little bit ago in the chat that like, this, he said it might be a kind of a hot take, but that the goalkeeper position is not one of the ones that Atlanta has to worry about. I agree.
yeah,
I actually think the goalkeepers have been really, really good this year. But what was our other gripe? Atlanta doesn't have backup strikers
yeah,
ever,
exactly.
and now they
Now you
do.
do. Now you have
Now they
two.
do. Yeah, yeah, too. That are doing a really good job, and so
It's good because they're
um,
kind of being able to compete with each other
yeah,
for that
feed
playing
off
time.
each other.
That's what Daniel said
Yeah,
when he came first time we spoke to him.
yep. So I was excited about what I saw out of him last night because he did a lot of crap that you wouldn't have seen other backup strikers Atlanta has had over the years do.
Yeah, he can score. He had the assist to Saba and that loss to um, Minnesota. So yeah, he can do it all really, and he's been just a really good player for Atlanta United. Bruno Kuba saying in the chat, our wings are not performing, and we've talked about the wings. We just need to get that part of the game, that part of the equation, um, get it taken care of. Of course, um, Wolf is out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Silva, I expect he'll start against DC. We're getting some sustained playing time against Charlotte. And then right, so of course Saba, who maybe that goal against Minnesota gives him more confidence. So if you can get that part of the equation straightened out, I think you'll be able, of course, to score even more goals. Of course, the last minute defending, um, switching off in late game situations is another part of the equation that you need to handle. But yeah, the wing play, I think, is a kind of a weak link for this team. It's a link that this team needs to resolve in a hurry before this season continues to get further and further away from them, I think.
Yeah. And to Bruno and Ariel saying, Tyler, so you're saying our weakest link right now is our wingers. I mean, yeah, I think so. And I think you're in a favorable position though, because it's not that they're not good. You have talent there. It's not like you've got, just talentless individuals running around on your wings. Like, you've got guys that can do the job. You're in a slump. There's something going on that the coaching staff is going to have to figure out with how to get them more involved in a better way. I will give you my 2 cents, and this is not just like an Atlanta United thing. 2 things I love to see out of wingers, and 1 thing I hate. The 1 thing I hate is the over and over and over again dribble to just outside, just to the right or left of the box and send in the cross. It does work at times, but it's predictable. I love a winger that is not afraid to take somebody on one-on-one into the box.
Yeah.
And a winger that loves and is good at going vertically to the end line and then sending that ball back up to the top of the box, not just across the face of goal, which, I mean, works. I'm talking about the classic, like, you're going to the end line and the ball is coming back up to the arc at the top of the box. Look at last night. Or there's 2 really good examples. Matt Edwards sent the one back to Nick Firmino, and then Caleb Wiley did the same thing a few minutes later. And then again, you have another one where they go to the end line and it just gets sent straight across the face of goal. I get tired, just in soccer in general, of that kind of just, I'm going to put my foot into the ball, send it up in the air, and hope to God somebody gets to it. If you're a disciplined team, your wingers, your guys that are playing outside, should be able to know that there is going to be somebody, whether it's your Thiago Almadas, your number 10s, your number 8s, even in Yakimakis' case, your striker, like, that area just inside the top of the box is golden. That is like chef's kiss, like, place to be. But you've got to have somebody putting the ball back in there. And when you do it from the touch line or the end line back to that spot, it is so much harder as a defender. Go back last night and watch every one of the balls that Luke Brennan and those guys try to put in on that right-hand side. Jay Fortune a few times. Like, even the Independents, even their wing backs and their defenders were picking the ball out and able to stop it before it ever provided any danger. But the moment they started going a little deeper and sending that ball back across, it totally flipped the game on its head. And it's just it's a more dangerous tactic. And I want to see the first team do that more often. I want to see that straight verticality, and then you throw a defense off by sending it back to the top of the box. Because you have guys that can finish that kind of ball. Lots of them.
Yeah. Why do they do it though? Why do they do what you hate they're doing? Why is that?
That's a good question. I mean, I think, last year we saw Saba a lot of times end up in the final third, much closer to the center of the pitch in the final third. And by the center of the pitch, I mean closer inside the box. I think maybe you've got a lot more of your wingers are just trying to progress the ball to what Pineda refers to as those primary assist zones, which is great. But that ball has to be perfect. That ball has to be perfect. And Brooks Lennon right now is providing perfect examples of where this can work, like putting them into Yakimakis. but you also have your wing backs this year not getting forward as much as you did last year. Which leaves you now with Saba or Tyler Wolf or Shande Silva. Shande Silva is not a crosser. He is a very direct, dribbly boy kind of guy that's going to come in and he's had success. Look at what Madrid did today with Vinicius Jr. The guy, he just eats people alive, and then he ends up almost outside the bar of the net and then sends it back across, for whoever's making that run. That's a Shande Silva thing. That's something that Shande Silva could eat and feast on. But on the other side, Saba, I feel like he is much better when he's almost acting as like another striker. I don't think he is going to be the guy to send you those like pinpoint crosses into the box in traffic.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, in traffic. So
he definitely has a nose for goal.
Yeah.
Saba, and again, maybe that goal on Saturday gives him some confidence because he's just had some just bad luck finishing. So hopefully that can kind of snap him out of it. But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. And it's just the system that Atlanta plays hasn't really been conducive to making the most out of those wingers. So hopefully that's something. I mean, you hope that changes. You hope that that switch kind of flips from a tactical standpoint. So I think that's a good explanation. And yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about. You see Xavi just go at defenders and try to make things happen. That's not Saba's game. So hopefully both players will be able to maximize their strengths as the season goes on. Just real quick, we'll give you an update here before we move on. Charleston's still leading Tormento 1-0 in the
Barely.
34th minute.
Barely.
Charleston has had some chances
Yes.
to extend that lead. Charleston, really good form, by the way.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind there. But yeah, that one
Here
getting
we go
closer
now.
to
3-on-3.
halftime. Let's see if Charleston scores here.
Top of the
Charleston has a
box.
break.
Shot. Oh, just wide. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to be providing play-by-play over here in a second.
Right. So yeah, that's the U.S. Open Cup. That's Atlanta United moving on to the round of 16. But Saturday, Tyler, they returned back to MLS play against DC United, who DC have been struggling 3-5, just above the playoff line, just above Atlanta United. In fact, last time out, drew Philly 2-2 at home, had a 2-0 lead at Audi Field, but
sound familiar?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, pretty much the same as Atlanta in some respects. The big player, of course, I mean, and it goes without saying, it's Christian Benteke, 8 goals for this DC United side. He scored, of course, he's getting his, but outside of that, no one really has for DC United. I was looking up their stats, and Benteke has 8 goals. I'm trying to find out how many players have 1 goal for them. So Benteke, outside of him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players have scored 1 goal for DC United. Cleach, I'll add him in. Cleach and Jared Stroud each have 5 assists for DC United. So those are players to keep an eye on as well. Aaron Herrera, the former RSL man, has 4 assists. So that's something to keep in mind. But then their primary option, attacking wise, is 100% Christian Benteke. And when he's on, this team is on. And I think one of the secrets to stopping this DC team is stopping Christian Benteke. Because if you can keep him quiet, neither of these players that I just named out has shown a particular ability to find the back of the net outside of him. So they've scored this season 16 goals, and Benteke has half of them. So that tells you a lot about where they are. Tells you a lot about you know who who they're kind of leading on. I think in another world, Benteke is at the top of the Golden Boot standings. Of course,
Yeah.
Messi and Suarez are going crazy in Miami, and Chicho is doing his thing in RSL.
I
So
can't believe in 2024 you just said that sentence, man. It's crazy. It's
I
still
know
crazy.
it just still takes a lot to get used to
Yep.
about mentioning those two players in MLS, but
Yeah.
they
I,
they're kind of. I feel like sorry, I'll just say
no, you're
this
good.
real quick. They kind of started off decently. I think DC had started off decently. I think the
Benteke
thing
had a hat
is,
trick in the first match.
yeah, yeah. I think the thing is they just can't close. I mean, we mentioned the Philadelphia match. Um, yeah, shutout at NYCFC against Orlando. They had they led Orlando pretty late, but then they gave up two at the end to lose 3-2. And yeah, this is a team that has struggled to see matches out, and they've also struggled on the road. They've not won away from how they feel they're 0-1-4. So kind of like Atlanta in a lot of ways, inability to see matches out, inability to win on the road. And again, I feel like winning on Tuesday gives Atlanta a little bit of confidence against a team in DC that is trying to find its own way with a new head coach and Troy Lacine trying to get themselves into playoff places. So, kind of what my 1,000-foot view of this particular match is: to stop Benteke, stop Stroud, stop Cleach from doing their thing, and really just relax. You know you can win. You don't have this 5-match winless streak hanging over you, but at the same time, you have to perform for the fans. You've now lost back-to-back matches at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in MLS play. I mean, the fans' patience is already running thin based on that. So this is a match that you can't lose. You can't go in. You can't draw this match either. I don't think, especially with these next couple matches coming up on the road against Cincinnati and Nashville.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I guess what are you kind of looking at?
Um, I mean, the biggest thing is the result in terms of it being a home match. You've got to get back on track. You have to get back on track. Like, I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but like, draw, tied. Nope, he's not offside. Be quiet. Sorry. There. Oh, and the bowling celebration. Look at that. All right, it's 1-1. We got a game. So,
Interesting.
um, anyway, no, I'm beating a dead horse, but like, we know it's tough to win an MLS on the road. We get that. I think it's a frustrating excuse, but I get it. You have to win at home. You have to
Minnesota
win at
won
home.
away.
You have to win at home, especially if you are Atlanta United. You have the best place to play in this hemisphere, period. So there
How
is no
important is it?
excuse.
Sorry, how important is it to win at home again?
You have to win at home, period.
Just
Um,
checking.
you can't, you cannot give up any more matches at home. And I agree, like a draw is not good enough. It's not good enough. Period. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to go on a rant because like you have to take the momentum that you had from this Open Cup match. Again, momentum comes from different places. Take it where you can get it. You won 3-0, kept a clean sheet. Great. With a lot of players, mix match together. Cool. You just showed that 9 of your academy kids can do it, mixed
Yeah.
in with some veteran presence. Now Yakimakis has to do it. Now Thiago Almada has to do
Yeah.
it. Now Luis Abram has to do it. Muyumba. Like, it's time to go and show the rest of this league the talent that this team has, because they do have the talent. I don't think there's many people that are going to argue that. So when you go to the bins and play, you are on any given day playing in front of one of the biggest crowds in the world. One of. That's not something to take lightly.
No.
It's not a responsibility to shirk and think, well, I can get used to this. No, you should never get used to it. You should, we say this all. I've said it many, many times. Just as a journalist covering this team, it is never lost on me the fact that I get to go to the bins and cover this team inside
Yeah,
that stadium in front of that crowd
exactly.
almost every week. It shouldn't be lost on the players. You need to go in and handle business. You have the home of US soccer about to be in your backyard. You have so much going for you in this city. Like, I mean, you have kids. This is their first exposure to professional soccer matches when they come to the Bends. Show out for them.
Bar is
Show them
high.
how
Yeah.
exciting it can be a soccer player. You can't take it lightly. Go win at home,
Do
handle
you
business, and do what you got to do.
do you think the guys some of the guys that have been here for a while, well, I say a while, but over the past few years, do you think that they're used to it? Do you think they just take it for granted that they get to? I mean, they say, "Oh, we want this place to be a fortress. You know, we're playing against 40,000 fans. We're can't we want to make the fans proud." Do you think they just get used to playing at Mercedes-Benz Stadium? This is. Do you think they just say, "Hey, we get to do this, whatever"? Has that sense of awe, that sense of wonder, left Atlanta United? Do you think?
I think it can if you aren't cognizant and intentional about remembering what it is that you have, right? Like, I mean, that goes with anything in life. Like, you can get used to anything you're doing on a semi regular basis. It doesn't matter how great it is, you know?
Mm.
If I were to win, $500 million in the lottery tomorrow, 5 years from now, I might be kind of used to being a millionaire if I didn't go and blow it on everything. You have
You
to
get us a
remind yourself.
podcast studio with that much money.
I know, right? We'd be set. Here we come, CBS.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, you have to be cognizant and you have to remind yourself. You have to have a support system that reminds yourself. You have to have people at the club that remind you, like, well, look what you get to do every freak. You're not playing on a cow pasture in the middle of, you know, Scotland somewhere, or, a parking lot in the middle of, Midwestern US. Like, you have the best facilities available to you. And it's not like they're empty. They're not empty. The people are coming out to see you. Show them what they came for, which is, first of all, winning, but, fun, attacking soccer, but mostly winning. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go back to Frank de Boer and that season. As much as I complained about, man, this is boring, at least
They
the
want.
wins were happening. So you got to go. You got to go fix it. You've got to go do what you do at home, and that is win.
Does Dion Gregerson play on Saturday?
I
Or
mean,
do you leave him out just as a precaution?
I think it just all depends on how bad that concussion was. I think if the concussion was that bad, they would have taken him
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. I like that he looked fine on the bench.
Yeah.
He looked
I
fine
just
on the
think it
bench.
was super precautionary. So I would like to think he at least gets like 60 minutes, like I think he should have got last night. I think he gets most of the match, and then you have Noah come in, and I'm okay with that.
I think that's like the only, well, not the only injury. Of course, you have Williams still out. Hopefully, Williams comes back pretty soon. I mean, what happens to Williams though when he comes back? I mean, I feel like that's a discussion for another day. Um, but you know, Shawnee will start. I feel like you're going to have really close to a preferred 11 out there for the first time forever. I mean, that's a good thing, and we haven't seen that in months. It seems like since Gregerson went down. So, if I'm to guess, I would say he probably won't start, but he'll be questionable just as they kind of figure out, okay, how much has this concussion affected him, right? Apparent concussion affected him. Again, he looked fine on the bench, but fine on the bench doesn't really mean too much. I'll just kind of caveat that. But yeah, he looked okay. But again, we're not neurologists. We're not physios. So we'll have to see what the injury report looks like. We'll have to see what the training report looks like on Thursday to see if he's available. So I mean, I think you're fine with. I don't want to say you're fine without him, but I think that for the most part, who you have out there has been doing a really good job. It's just the mistakes at the end and the mistakes that you have when you take the lead that are the big thing. That mentality, that mindset as the match goes on, it's the biggest thing. And that's something that Atlanta United really needs to handle.
2-1
So
Charleston. Sorry. I
Charleston
didn't mean to
leading
interrupt
before
your
the
diatribe
half. No,
there.
you're good.
In stoppage time in the first half too. Man, that's killer.
Battery or top side, really top
Yeah,
side
that's a perennial good
for the
team.
half too. Yeah.
And it was a
So,
beautiful header too. Beautiful header.
yeah. So, DC, I guess. What is your prediction? I know you're going to
2-1.
say they'll win.
2-1 Atlanta. I'm not gonna bet against Atlanta.
You always pick them to win.
I
They
know
could
I
be.
do.
They could be playing. They could be playing against Inter Miami. With Messi, they will be playing Inter Miami in a few weeks. In fact, they will be playing Inter
They
Miami.
can
You
win
still
then
pick them
too.
to win.
Because they can. I think that's what pisses me off the most. Like, that's why I've been going on these rants lately. You're not looking at 2022 or 2023 Atlanta United or 2020. Like, you have the freaking talent in this team right now to go out and beat any team in MLS. Even if it does have Messi and Suarez starting. Now, it's going to be a shootout. It should be a shootout. But you should win. I really think that.
We'll see.
I can't. It feels like such wasted opportunities, and that's a tough thing. That's a really tough thing because everything is there. The talent you don't have tons of injuries. You have most of your prime starting 11.
Yeah,
Your depth is good enough to go out and
yeah.
handle business. There aren't really many excuses. On the road, cool. We can make that excuse if we want to. But at home, nope. There's no excuse. No excuse. 2-1 Atlanta.
Yeah, again, the mentality has to be there. And oftentimes it's not the players or the tactics or the overall style of play. It's between the ears.
Yeah.
What happens between the ears? I think this team, from a mental standpoint, has been not in a good place. And you hope that when on Tuesday really helps them out. I think it does, at least on this occasion. I think they win 2-0. I think they get back in the win column at home. I think, let's say Yakamaka scores a brace. I think Yakamaka scores a brace, kind of shakes off the duck that he's been on over the past few matches, and Atlanta gets back on track and MLS play, headed into a couple of difficult matches, tough matches against Cincinnati, Shield winners, and then against Nashville, who traditionally you've had trouble with at Geodis Park.
Yeah.
So
I gotta
two
to be
nil.
fair to Yakimakis, I gotta say he's coming back from that injury, so it's not like he's had matches where
Yeah,
I mean he had the most recent one where he'd had opportunities for sure. Like the opportunities were there, but they were there for a lot of people, and nobody finished them the way that they should have.
yeah. I think he'll be disappointed that he hasn't done better, even coming
Oh
back from
yeah,
injury.
yeah.
As a striker, he has that ruthlessness that we've talked about so many times. So I think he'll be disappointed that he hasn't been able to affect the match. But I think Saturday presents a perfect opportunity with two of the best strikers in the league going at it, and I think it's going to be an entertaining match. They could let United again. We'll win 2-1. Or 2-0, I should say. 2-0. I think Yakamaka scores twice. I think they're able to silence Benteke in this game.
They should be able to. He's just been so hot or cold,
Yeah.
So Jack saying 1-1, Omar 4-2 and throwing a wild card in there. 4-2 to somebody.
Cop out from Omar. No, I'm just kidding.
Jack
No, not
saying my
really.
heart tells me 1 or 2-0 to Atlanta. And then
Go with your
Tommy
heart.
has come in.
Good. And Tommy asking us, have I talked about Mata yet? No, I have not, Tommy. I'm sorry to disappoint.
It's a good time as any.
What else you got?
All right. So the twos are tied 0-0 still. 22nd minute. It's halftime. between Charleston and South Georgia. Tormenta 2-1 in favor of Charleston. I haven't looked at the other Open Cup scores right now, but there's some good ones out there. Detroit winning last night in 10 rounds of penalties was really cool after a 3-3 draw. That was one I wish I could have watched. But
Detroit sticks it to MLS again with their smoke and darkness, except it's played at Houston and not Detroit this time. So, does Detroit host next round, by the way?
Huh?
Does Detroit host next round, by the way?
I think so. I think they do.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll have to look it up. Smoke and darkness.
I love that. I love that story so much.
Gosh.
I will say this for anybody listening now or after the fact: if you are a season ticket holder, send me a message or tweet or get in touch with me. Email scarvesandspikes@gmail.com. I don't, whatever you got to do. I don't care. Because I'm going to work on something for the website and just trying to talk to a couple of folks, especially if you enjoy traveling to away matches. So hit me up. Hit me up.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got.
I got one more thing, actually. Because Henry, look, here's the deal. This is the second time I've talked about this today. Henry pissed me off last night. So y'all know we're doing this prediction, golden boot prediction table thing, right? I'm pretty much down at the wooden spoon at this point. We're giving a point for getting the score right and a point for getting the team right. I got the team and the score right last night, so I should have gotten 2 points. I pointed this out to Henry, and Henry said he didn't get all this prepared for the Open Cup match.
Sabotage.
That irritates me. That irritates me. So John and Jarrett from Soccer Down Here mentioned that don't we have like a Magna Carta, like a constitution or a set of rules or something that we developed for this purpose, for when there are disputes. And we do.
Do you have
it? We
do.
Oh, I got one right here. I got the one. Remember when you signed this, Sydney?
Yes, I do remember. Yeah. Let you read it out.
I will.
Read out the highlights. Not the whole thing. Not the whole thing.
It's not long. Trust me. It looks long because it's in cursive and it's fancy, like it was written 300 years ago. This document hereby declares the founding of Scarves and Spikes and its inalienable place in the Atlanta United media landscape. Recognizing the dire need for more opinions about soccer in Atlanta, Scarves and Spikes shall henceforth be the oracle of all things scarf and spike related. With a solemn vow to be accurate and possibly entertaining, Scarves and Spikes promises to inform the citizens of Georgia and its surrounding hamlets, such as Orlando and Nashville, with all Atlanta United news. This proclamation grants Scarves and Spikes the divine right to analysis and opinion. In witness thereof, let it be known that Scarves and Spikes is an official institution. All right, here's the kicker. This is the one that's going to get Henry.
Go for it.
And lest we forget, let it be known that Henry must solemnly swear to properly add Tyler's points to the prediction table. Says it right there at the bottom. And look at this.
I believe you.
He signed it.
He did sign it.
Right there with the rest of us. And I'm trying to get shafted out of getting out of the wooden spoon spot because Henry wants to be a turd.
Gosh.
Henry, I'm calling you out.
Yes, I remember signing it, Tyler. I do remember.
I appreciate that. Hey, it happened.
Yeah, I agree. It happened. It happened. Let's just leave it at that. It happened.
Yeah, it did happen.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. It's a little bit of a shorter show today. No MLS Season Pass guest this week. Hopefully next week we can get somebody on ahead of the Nashville match. But yeah, scarvesandspikes.com, patreon.com/scarvesandspikes. Thanks to all for those that support us on Patreon. Of course, go to our Etsy store, Scarves and Spikes at Etsy.com. Get some Scarves and Spikes merchandise
Yes.
to wear around town and to drink out of and to support this wonderful show, podcast, website that you love. That is your inalienable right
Yes, it
to
is.
go to scarvesandspikes.com and to listen to us every week and watch us every week. Are we going to be doing a pre-match show on Saturday, sir?
Yes, and y'all all need to remind me to bring my my earbuds
Bring your
or my
earbuds.
headphones.
And also, again, for our Patreon members, interview with RFK refugees will be available Thursday night, maybe Thursday night around 7:30, 8 p.m. So patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes gets you that. And again, 3 tiers to subscribe to, starting at $1.17 a month. I mean, that's nothing. So support local soccer coverage here in Atlanta and help us continue to do what we do.
Yeah. I got to give a shout out to my son. I will not be here next week on the show.
Oh.
Because it is his birthday, my son Zane. My oldest. This is about to make me feel really old because I'm about to say it on live TV.
Sweet 16.
Turning 16, man. Freaking 16 years old.
Teenager.
Dude.
Well, sorry, teenager, but he'll be driving.
A teenager, and it's like makes me upset. But I got to give a shout out to him. He's an awesome, amazing young man. Yeah. So
great kid.
Super excited for him.
Great kid.
And tall.
Yes. He is tall. He is tall. I can attest to that. Yeah, happy birthday, Zane. And yeah, thanks for watching, listening, and supporting us. Ariel and Zane share birthday week.
Yeah. Well, fun fact, mine's 6 days after that. Mine's on the 21st. So we're all close.
I have a May birthday as well. So
yeah, that's right. You were earlier this month.
I forget what Tommy's is.
I can't remember. Omar, what kind of car did you get him? Nothing. He's got the Flintstone mobile at this point.
Beating Charlie.
Yeah. That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. No, thanks everybody. We really appreciate you watching and listening. And catch us on patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. Pre-match show Saturday. All that good stuff. And yes, we'll see you next time. It is your inalienable right to join us.
It is.
Next time.
According to this proclamation.
Indeed.
You're welcome.
That I signed.
Yes, that you
with my own hand.
Look, and then Thomas Reginald Moose signed it. Even John Hancock signed it. It was that important.
Oh my gosh. We went all out with that thing, didn't we?
Yeah. Now I got to go, like John said this morning on the show, I got to go put it under lock and key. This is a historical document at this point. And legally binding.
That's right. Nobody don't dare try to challenge it either.
Nope. This is the one and only.
Yes. All right. So long.
See ya.